we had three very interesting presentations with three relatively different topics. So we have all the more reason to be engaged into the debate, and therefore the floor is open from now on to questions, remarks, and whatever other ways of participation you can imagine. Please. Go ahead, Anders.
I was wondering, to what extent your argument depends on people, fundamental rights being abused? So if there were not these kind of situations, would that still follow that people have a right to move on from borders?
Not in any fundamental way. So, for rhetorical purposes, I made the case for those rights that are most uncontroversial. Right not to be subject to impunity treatment, not to be killed, not to be tortured, and so on and so forth, because they are sufficient to make the case that the territorial rights of states cannot be unconditional. But if you follow the logic of the Kantian account of the territorial rights, then the implications go further than that. So that they imply that it's not just those basic rights, but basically rights to lead autonomous lives can trigger the right to admit. Now, there's a difficulty here because the more extensive you understand the right that triggers the individual right that triggers the right to enter, the more likely that there will be some tensions between the claims of current residents and the claims of those who are leaving their residence. So I'm not suggesting that there can never be any kind of tension between the territorial rights of states and individuals, but it's not a direct conflict of principle. So my argument was more modest in that sense, that I'm not claiming that under no circumstances can there be any tension between territorial rights and human rights. Other questions?
Oh yeah, come on. Why is it a collective duty? Why does it make a difference if there are more states? Imagine a situation in which there are only two countries.
Mm-hmm. Right, and then you say, given the circumstances, people in this country have a duty to admit all this, provided the conditions you mentioned. Why that duty changes when there are more states around?
It's a matter of sharing burdens in a fair manner. So simply geographic proximity to a crisis area is not a fair criterion for who should have who should bear the burden of admitting refugees in this particular case. So geographic proximity is not a more irrelevant factor here. So if that's the case, then the burden of admitting refugees should be spread in some fair manner, where what fair should be unpacked later on by all those states that are in a position to share some of the burden.
Another way to think is that the refugees have a right against every state, and then how these states decide to do it.
It's a different matter, but it's not a collective duty. It's just that every state has a duty to admit, should have a duty to admit every single person, unless admitting is just too onerous. So imagine a case in which there's a child drowning, well, let's say 10 children drowning on a point, and then I'm there. So let's assume that I have a duty to save 10 children. Why does my duty become weaker when there is someone else by my side?
It does not become weaker. It's what we call an imperfect duty that has to, which does not single out one among the agents who are under an obligation to save the drowning persons, so there's some need for coordination, right? The collectiveness of the collective obligation that I was invoking is just this duty to coordinate in a situation when there significant burdens are to be shared.
Okay, I have a question for Mark. And it concerns, well, let's say the very nature of liberalism in light of what you've argued. So, secrecy, as I understand, is indispensable for security. So security is somehow more fundamental than secrecy itself. And then my question would be then, well, is liberalism then really only possible on those paradoxical grounds if we take into consideration that, well, security, so the logic of security is also the logic of preserving the existing community of collective self-preservation, on the one hand. On the other hand, liberalism is probably the only kind of comprehensive view of the good society which has built into itself the possibility of tolerating its opposites. So tolerating those worldviews which would want to abolish it. And then can liberalism only be completely coherent if it abandons the very imperative of its own self-preservation and, exist in a state of constant risk of being destroyed?
Unfortunately, I don't have any alternative solutions. I don't have anything like that. Everything I can do is to analyze all these aporias or paradoxes. Maybe I should find a better word. I really don't have any solutions. None. Because radical democratization of secrecy or intelligence agencies is simply contradiction in terms once again. So there is no solutions. That's why I use the term aporias. There are no solutions. Sorry.
Anyone else?
I was just thinking about, Marian said that Mark, or in his view, that the secrecy is because of security. But is it really fact, or is it just a mask? It could be the securitization. It's a pretty fashionable concept now. It could be the securitization of secrecy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very important
It
aspect.
doesn't have to intersect always.
But it has to. In fact, it has to, and security is an essential part of the normative background of everything what I said. I should have paid special attention to this question as well. So yes, I accept your harsh critique. Can I just jump in with a short remark on this topic? Because I see the problem, but I don't necessarily see the aporia or the paradox on. Because one could say that we need to distinguish between two types of secrets. The secrets of which we know that they exist, and the secrets of which we do not nothing about.
Those are mysteries.
Sorry?
Those are mysteries, yes.
Well,
Those are mysteries. Sorry,
I wonder if you...
the scientific literature, sorry. Mysteries, secrets.
those are mysteries. But how do you mean mystery? I mean, for example, we all know that we have like credit card numbers which we keep a secret, and we know about each other that we do possess a secret. On the other hand, if someone is a secret agent recording his whole for the CIA or for the KGB, if it still exists, then that's a secret we do know about. Now, it is not a mystery that someone is a member of a secret service. It is a secret we do not know about, but it's a different stage of the secret. But I wonder if it's not legitimate to differentiate between these two stages of secrets. As Kay is saying that for the first one, it seems to me that we need that for an operative democracy. But the second one, we not necessarily need that.
Not necessarily.
No.
Do we or not?
Sorry?
But that's
well, we can argue that we do not need, although we can argue that we get rid of those kind of secrets of life. And then there is no aporia, it seems to me. Because the secret notion of security, presupposes the notion of secret, but not in an operatic way, but its conditions of possibility.
Okay, but I try to show how does this logic undermine some elementary aspects of liberalism, like free public debates, like the rule of law and so on. So that was my strategy. Yes, of course, I accept your conceptual distinction. It is very important, and my remark at the beginning concerned this aspect, that we should be very cautious concerning total transparency. That's a very dangerous idea as well.
Well, yes, please.
And then one remark related to this morning's notion about the arguments of liberals when they, let's say, try to justify the system, when they say that the inequalities that are inscribed in the system are somehow contributing to the more wealth for all, more, let's say, more chances for all, that they somehow produce more good for all. I really think somehow, also after Alexander's lecture, I really think that no fascist would have a problem with such an argumentation. Maybe this all, for all, refers with fascist on people, folks, or nation, and with liberals it refers to citizenry. But I think that structurally that's the very same logic. Inequalities and hierarchies are necessary for some higher reason.
Yes. I mean, I would accept it, but it's not the same pattern of inequality, and that's what's interesting, because the field of economic, if you want to present it in a way that the liberals do, is a sort of automatic field in which, it operates almost by itself as natural laws, and I don't mean like the 19th century liberals, but also the neoliberals, which do the same actually, and also covering up this neoliberal split. But I think that the inequalities, the specific types of inequalities which they produce, actually, gives them this, sort of argument that they can use on equality. So the economic inequality in the end, ends up producing like some more wealth or whatever, without touching the core contradictions, between where this wealth is distributed or whatever. But I say, I don't think it's the same, type of inequality. Because National Socialism also had other types, like biological and dual citizenship and so on. Yeah, so just this short remark.
Right? Anyone? Well, if not, then I think we need to finish at least this session, and Mark will tell us more information about the continuation this evening and about tomorrow.